With the unique times that we're in right now, people are finding that they've got more time on their hands to pursue their personal goals again. But that brings up the question, do you know how to effectively set goals that ensure continuous growth? That's what we're going to talk about here today. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Lifehack Show. I am your host, Justin Aldridge. And before we dive into today's video, I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying our content, go ahead and hit that like button. And also, while you're at it, hit that bell as well. So that way you're notified each and every time that we put out a new piece of content. And if you wouldn't mind, while you're at it anyway, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. So that way we can continue to spread the mission of Lifehack to more and more people. All right. Now, with that being said, let's talk about our content for today, which is all things goal setting. Now, before you start to think that this is going to be another general overview of how to set smart goals, I just want to put your mind at ease and tell you it's not going to be that. Rather, this is going to be an in-depth tactical approach to setting effective goals that are going to ensure that you continue to level up and grow. With that being said, let's dive in. All right. Now, before we get into the strategies for effectively setting goals, I want to talk for just a minute about why it is that people struggle with goals. Because the reality is the vast majority of people do struggle with setting and achieving their goals. You can see this reflected in research that talks about resolutions and the fact that 80% of people fall off or lose or fail at their resolutions before February 1st. So that means 80% of the world's population that sets resolutions don't even make it a month. And if we're being honest, that time span is probably a lot shorter. So it begs the question, why is it that people struggle so much with goals? Well, the reality is goal setting, just like anything related to success, is an inside game first and foremost, meaning that you inside and internally have to be willing to do the work necessary in order to carry out the success of the goal. So when you're going through the process, just remember that you are the key holder for the success of your goal. And the strategies that we're going to talk about here in just a moment are the tactical things that you need to be doing in the process. But remember, the effectiveness or your ability to be able to achieve the desired outcome or goal that you have is not outside of you. It's always internal. So you've got to make sure that you're doing the internal work necessary to get yourself to where you want to be. Now, with that being said, let's hop into some strategies for effectively setting goals. But before we do that, I want to tell you about a great resource that we've created for you here at Lifehack that's going to take your goal setting game to the next level. It is our foolproof guide to reaching your goal this year. You can click on the link above to go access that or find it in the description below. But that is going to be a great resource as you're going through and you're setting these goals that's going to allow you to really get in depth with setting your goals and ultimately reaching those goals. So download that tool and use it as we go. All right, strategy number one is to develop and write down your core values. Anytime that you're going after something or you're trying to create some level of success in your life, that success has to be rooted in your core values. Part of the reason why so many people struggle with achieving their goals is because they can't get motivated or passionate about them because they're not in alignment with their core values or who they truly are and desire in their life. So the first thing that you want to do, the first foundational step is writing down those core values so that way you have those as a source of reference or a filter of sorts through which you can filter every goal that you set. So whenever you sit down to actually go through the goal setting process, you can refer back to those core values, those list of things that are most important about you and to you, and run that goal through the filter and say, is this goal in alignment with my core values? So that's what you've got to do first and foremost is write those core values out so that way you have them as the foundation for every goal that you set. Number two, remove weak goals that are simply good enough. There are so many people out there who are just checking the boxes when it comes to the goals or aspirations that they have for their lives. But if you really want to live your greatest life, something that is our mission here at Lifehack, You have got to make sure that you are eliminating those goals that are simply good enough or modifying them to make them to where they're actual real stretch goals. So go through your list of goals, write them out, and look through that list and be honest with yourself and say, is this a goal that I really want? Is this a goal that's really going to stretch me, that's going to make me better off in some way for having achieved it? If it's not, if it's one of those ones that are just a good enough type of goal, either get rid of it or figure out a way that you can modify that goal that's going to make it to where it's a real, genuine stretch goal. So you've got to make sure that you're setting that bar high in order to create the type of life that you really want to live. Number 3 is so important, and that is to enjoy the process. So many people make goal setting and the process of trying to achieve that goal an absolute miserable process. Goal setting and leveling up in your life is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. So make the process enjoyable for yourself, whatever that looks like. If that's having an accountability partner that can support you, if that's giving yourself a reward system throughout the process to keep the motivation and the inspiration high, whatever that system or that practice looks like for you, figure out a way to enjoy the process. Yes, you're going to have some goals that you're going to have to go after that aren't the most fun goals, but are necessary for your growth. But if you can figure out ways to make the process of going after that goal more enjoyable, it's going to make it that much more likely that you're going to see it through and you're going to get to that end result. Because the reality is, goal setting is more about the process than the desired result. That's the reason why you can go and look at all of these gurus and they talk about it's more about the journey than the destination. So you've got to figure out a way to make that journey fun, because sometimes that journey can be long and tedious, so make it enjoyable. Number 4, have an action plan. As they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You've got to make sure that you have some sort of plan in place that's going to allow you to see the goal through. So many people are waking up and they're just going through the motions, or they're just flying by the seat of their pants, hoping to make progress. You've got to make sure that you're not doing that. If you really want to be a high achiever, if you want to be somebody who creates that best life for themselves, you've got to have an action plan in place. So make sure that you sit down, write out your action steps, figure out things that you can break down into daily, weekly, monthly tasks. Implement checkpoints for yourself so that way you're maintaining a certain level of expectation or progress against the goal that you have. You've got to make sure, if you want to stay on track and really see your goal through to its finalization, that you've got that action plan in place and that you're staying in accordance to that plan and following it through all the way to the end point. Number 5. Have an environment that makes working easier. Environment is so vitally important to you achieving the level of success that you desire. And your environment is composed of 3 things, really: the people, the things, and the places. And each one of those are equally important, and you've got to make sure that they're all dialed in if you're going to achieve success. There's a reason why you go to a gym and there's not a bunch of cakes and snacks laying around. It's because that is not conducive to the environment in which people are trying to achieve their health and fitness goals. It's the same thing where when you go into an office space, there's not a bunch of big screen TVs or lazy boy recliners for people to sit around in, because those things, again, are not conducive to people achieving the ultimate result that they want to achieve in their workspace. So you've got to make sure, whatever your goal is, that you're optimizing the environment to make your success in achieving that goal that much more greater. All right, so if it is setting your clothes out in order to be able to go work out, if it's making sure that your workspace is nice and neat, if it's a place that makes you feel comfortable, if it's getting around certain people, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're optimizing your environment so that you feel at your peak to really go after that goal, to put in the work that's necessary, and to really make progress and see it all the way through to that final destination. All right, the next step is to make sure that you're asking for help if you get stuck. We live in a society where pride and ego get the best of us so often, but you have to make sure that if you want to achieve a big, audacious goal in your life, that you are asking for help when you get stuck. And notice I didn't say if you get stuck. It should say when you get stuck, because being stuck is an inevitable part of the process. We all bump up against that opposition where we feel like we're not making momentum in the direction that we want to be going. So when you feel that stuckness, make sure that you reach out. There's nobody in this world who has achieved great level of success who has not had to call on the help of other people. Find you a mentor, find you an accountability partner, find somebody that can be that source of inspiration, that can be that source of knowledge or wisdom or whatever it takes to get you unstuck during that time. Find those people and surround yourself with them. Get the help that you need so that you can maintain that momentum. Because stuck in reality means that you're right on the brink of a big breakthrough. So many people get to that point of being stuck, they get discouraged and they give up. Don't be that person. When you get there, understand that you're right there on the brink of your goal. You're right there on the brink of the breakthrough that you're seeking. So seek out the help that you need in order to achieve that breakthrough and get through to that goal that you want to have. And then lastly, something that every successful person does is assess your progress often. You cannot just continue to wake up day after day and continue to take action and not assess whether or not the actions are actually bearing fruit. You've got to make sure that you have some sort of assessment process that you can look at, some sort of analytical system, no matter how archaic it may be. It may be as simple as having numbers written down on a sheet of paper. Whatever it looks like for you, make sure that you're assessing your progress. If you've got a health and fitness goal, for example, you've got to make sure that you're either checking in, how much more weight am I lifting in order to get to the goal that I want to get to? How much more weight do I need to lose in order to get to my goal? You have to assess your progress because that lets you know if you're on track. Because if you're not, that allows you to know that the action steps that you're taking right now aren't working. And so that gives you the knowledge, the information that you need in order to pivot, in order to change some things so that you can get yourself taking the correct actions that are going to lead to the desired result that you want. So make sure that you are assessing your progress often and going back throughout that process so that way you can make sure that you're staying on track to achieving your biggest desired goals. All right, so there you have it. Those are the 7 strategies for effectively setting goals that ensure continued growth. Do me a favor, in the comments below, let me know which one of those most resonates with you and is something that you think that you can implement that's going to take your goal-setting game to the next level. And if you're somebody who's really serious about wanting to achieve those big, audacious goals that you have in your life, jump on over to Facebook and join us in our Facebook support group. You can find the link in the description below, but this is a container. We're bringing together like-minded men and women who are driven toward achieving those big goals, something that you need in order to really see those things through. So join us in that group if it sounds like something you're interested in. With that being said, that concludes this week's video. Hop on over to lifehack.org for more great content and resources just like this, or stay tuned for the next video.